Welcome to Armchair Buffaloes, where we discuss all things Colorado football. This week, we welcome teammate Marwan Hage, who played 10 seasons in the Canadian Football League as an offensive lineman with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. On June 25th of this year, Marwan joined the Hamilton Sports Group ownership consortium behind both the Tiger Cats and Forge FC in the Canadian Premier Soccer League. Marwan, I know you're brand new to the ownership game, but how tough was it to watch the Argonauts grab the negotiating rights to Shiloh Sanders?
You know what? They beat us to it. They beat us to it. They even have Shabir also, but the Argonauts are quick at grabbing grabbing name rights.
All right, Shiloh, if you're watching, when Toronto comes calling, keep Marwan and the Ticats in mind. Let's talk a little bit about the Georgia Tech game. We had Coach Barnett on the show last week, and I thought his pregame assessment turned out to be pretty accurate. The Buffs came away with 3 turnovers on Georgia Tech's first 3 drives, 2 of which were unforced errors. Unfortunately, we only cashed those gifts in for 7 points. Tech was also outflagged in the game, 8 penalties for 65 yards compared to our 5 for 45 yards, at +3 in turnovers and +20 yards in penalties at home. That's a game you really should win. You guys were both at the game Friday night. The big question going in was the running game. I thought Micah Welsh looked good when he got his touches. Marwan, what was your assessment of the run game and the offensive line play?
It was. I thought it was a good game. For a first game of the season where they're supposed to be. I think there was a few passes left on the field. They could have changed the outcome of the game. The quarterback missed a few open on the running back, but overall, it's a 50-50 game because we lost. Now we're going to criticize it all, but if we would have won, it would have been a great stepping stone to game 2. I thought the boys played very well. I thought Georgia Tech played, in my opinion, boring fundamental football, right? Run the ball. There's nothing exciting. They played gap sound on defense. They played very disciplined. And we were right there. We should have won this game. So it shows you how dangerous we can be. Overall, it's a great first game. Camp cannot emulate game speed, and as much as you hit, when the lights go on, it's a whole different level. I thought the boys played well. Was there mistakes? Absolutely. But these are the kind of mistakes you want in game 1. You don't want them in game 10. So, you know, Georgia Tech, kudos to them, man. They came in a hard place, sold out place, and they played fundamental football, and they came up with the win.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get that win. We probably would see a lot less criticism around Buff Nation had we got the win. Um, I think that the average fan might overlook the run game a little bit. I thought we did have some nice things going in the run game, and the running game, more importantly than anything else, that's your 12th defender. Ball control, it keeps your defense fresh, and it makes it tough for the other team to find rhythm. Bob, what are your thoughts on Shermer's play calling?
Oh gosh, I didn't love it. I wish he would have ran the ball more. I don't think it was as creative as it could have been, right? I mean, we talk about right 3 turnovers in 1 quarter, you get 7 points. You're probably not going to win that game, especially against a team like Marwan said. I mean, they're well coached and they're fundamentally sound and they're pretty big and physical. I don't think we're going to face another team this year that's just going to commit to running the football like Georgia Tech does in the Big 12. I agree. I think Michael Welch ran the ball well, and I really think that we should have done it more, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Caden Salter, right? He made some plays that kept us in that game, but he missed some throws, right? He throws it from way down here, so it's kind of everything is high, even the ones that were completed were high. So he's got a little lower delivery, so that ball's going to sail, but I have the same takeaway as Marwan, right? I think they played. I think the Buffs played well, right? Did we miss some opportunities? 100%. But all in all, we played a good football team, a solid football team. As Coach Barnett mentioned last week, that's an SEC team playing in the ACC. They're big and physical and tough, and we responded well against them. So I think we got a lot to take away from it and get better. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the timeouts being left at the end of the game and not coming together and regrouping. I don't think it helped Prime that he doubled down on it in the press conference and not really owned up to it. So I think, right, like everything, players, coaches, everyone's got like Marwan said, you can't emulate real life football when you're in camp, right? And we saw that in the game. So a lot of guys have things they can take from it, learn from it, and get better going into this weekend.
The timeout situation is funny because if we would have won, he would have looked like a genius.
Yeah, right.
Because we lost, So this is what makes us Monday morning quarterbacks. This is what makes us like sit here and have these talks. I think it's nobody can make the decision, but the guy, the decision maker at the time. It can go both ways. He could have taken time out and thrown a pick, right? It's so the guys who play and the guys who are on the field, it's a whole different mindset than us. We're sitting here and we have all the answers, and especially now that I'm a fan. But I understand. Like, I don't have the headset on. I don't feel the quarterback. He sees the flow of the game from a different angle. So if he doesn't want to call a timeout, so be it. Because we didn't lose because of the timeouts. We lost because they played fundamentally better than us. And, it just happened to be we picked on the last drive, or everybody's picking on the last drive, which it does not matter. It doesn't matter because it could have gone both ways. And that's what comes with, with being on top. I always remember when we were playing and we were sitting on top, Coach Gary Barnett, I would say, when you're on top, people coming after you on every single thing you do. So, it's a good stepping stone for the team. You're going to see a whole different level of play next week and the weeks to come.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think we did some good things on Friday, especially on special teams, which is a good sign for our athletic depth. And I believe that those things will continue to sharpen up. Marwan, you mentioned that they were a fundamental, boring team to watch, but I'll tell you what, I think if you put Salter in Tech's offense, I think the kid has a day. Unfortunately, I don't know that that's how we're built, and I may be biased as a tight end, but I don't understand why we keep raiding the portal for receivers. I counted 8 different guys catching passes, which is great, but I don't think it solves the problems that we saw last season. And while I did like some of the stuff that I saw from transferred tight end Zach Atkins, I don't think Savell Smalls played last week. And we also had what looked like a Band-Aid heavy package with 2 lineman type bodies disguised as tight ends in number 83 and 84. And those guys didn't even have their names on the back of the jersey. So I don't know if those were defensive or offensive linemen that they just handed a jersey to and they said, go in there for heavy set short yardage. But, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for what Coach has done for our program. And I want to see him win a championship in Boulder. But to me, it just seems like the tight ends have been a little bit undervalued by this team in our first 3 years. And every time we face a team that has good ones, like Georgia Tech did, like we saw at Nebraska last year, we tend to struggle. That said, let's move on to this weekend. We've got a first-year FBS team in Delaware coming to town. This would have been a nice tune-up game, I think, before playing a team like Tech, but we'll take them in week 2 as we've still got a lot to work on. What are your thoughts on this one? What are you looking for us to improve on in this one, Marwan?
Well, this is it's a tricky one, right? So you can't definitely let your guards down, right? Delaware or whoever, right? You just lost the game, so you have a lot to prove. I would approach this game like it was number 1 team coming in, because they're definitely approaching it the same way, right? Their coach wants to make a name for himself, for his career, and for the program. So I would not take this game lightly at all. I'm going to expect a team coming in wanting to win. If I recall the Fresno State game that we played, it's like I thought it would be a walk in the park coming out, and then they went on a nonstop, winning games and stuff. So I would first fix the mistakes that they did last week. They have to get better. The team has to get better. We can't win and fantastic over the top play by 1 or 2 guys. The team has to win, right? And going to last week, I thought the quarterback had a lot of opportunity to run the ball. There was nobody open. Tuck it in, run, get your 6 yards, play that boring game. That's what Georgia Tech did. There wasn't a lot of pressure on their quarterback to make the 80-yard passes and the 60-yard passes, right? He just tucked it in and ran, and it kept moving. So I'm looking for a team to get better, come out with a little, like we say, piss and vinegar, right? Come out with an edge on your shoulder, little Doc Crease right there. Right? And that's, if you underestimate Delaware, and I don't think Coach Prime will. I think he's a very smart man and very experienced coach and an individual to understand that it's a tricky one. But the team has to play better and fix the mistakes.
Bob, what are your thoughts on these guys?
Well, I can't sit here and act like I know a whole lot about them. They're 1-0. They got an experienced guy pulling the trigger for them. So and I agree with Marwan, right? And I think I say it every week, whether it's on this or when I'm doing the radio for the Buffs. Like we get everybody's best shot because of who our head guy is, and because of all the publicity we get and all the coverage we get because of Prime. So they're going to come in here ready to play. And you guys know this more than anything, right? This game is such a game of momentum, right? If you get 3 turnovers, you can only get 7 points. You know how good Georgia Tech felt about that walking out of
Yeah.
the first quarter, right? And to continue the rest of that game. So we got to take advantage of the opportunities. Agree with you guys both. Like I'd love to see Salter use his feet more. I think this should be a game where we could line up and just choose to run the ball. I would like to think that and see that and prove and get those O linemen some confidence and feeling good about themselves about moving some other dudes around and running the ball. I mean, gosh, if we're creating three turnovers and we're not winning football games, I don't know what the answer is. So we got to take advantage of those things. You know, it's the football cliche, right? Week 1 to week 2, you got to figure out what you're made of and what type of team you got and what type of guys you got. So it's a good opportunity to be at home again, play a team that you should beat, right? I think we're 23.5-point favorites if I looked at it. So obviously Vegas thinks we should win. But again, can't take it lightly, right? You know that this is a place to come in and beat somebody and upset Deion Sanders. So they got to be ready to play and improve on everything from last weekend.
Yeah,
I would not read the Vegas line right now. Don't read
I'm
into
just
things
saying.
right now because it can mislead you. It can mislead you. Right now, if I'm a Buffalo, I'd go to work and put the work in and prove to my coaches that they picked the right guy to start because you can easily get persuaded here.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to see Jordan Seaton's post-game press conference, but I thought he handled it like a pro. And he goes, guys, it's not that complicated. We run the ball. They put it 8 in the box. They load the box. Then we throw the ball. Then they loosen up the box. He goes, once you can start doing both those things and everything starts to click, then you get into the RPO game. I like that kind of leadership coming from a second-year player. And I really do hope that we utilize this game to say, hey, let's go out and establish our identity as an offense. Let's run for 300 yards on these guys. Let's let the running backs eat for once. When's the last time we saw a running back really eat for Colorado? I think probably not since Philip Lindsay. That's how far back I think you have to go to be like, yeah, we established the run game, and look at that team. They went to the Pac-12 title game. And yeah, I'd like to see Salter rack up a chunk of those yards with his legs. And if you want to be an elite defense, you got to dominate this team. The Buffs, I think, need a bounce-back roll show performance in this one, and that's really going to establish this game sets the identity and for the rest of the season. I don't know if you guys remember after the USC game, Marwan, Bob, you were gone, but you remember after the USC game, my senior year, Marwan, SC handed it to us, and we went into UCLA, and we made a decision before that game is, how do we want to be remembered? Do we want to be remembered as a team that was on the Big 12 championship team last year that then went out and laid an egg, or do we want to set ourselves up for the rest of the season? So I think that this is a big bounce-back game for us to really establish our identity and set the tone for the rest of the season. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. If you enjoyed the show, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes. Marwan, thank you for joining us today, and all the best of luck to you up in there in the new ownership endeavor in Canada.
Thanks, guys, and looking forward to seeing you cheer the Hamilton Ticats. Coming up to Canada, watch some football.
Go Ticats and go Buffs.
Yes, sir. Go Buffs.